What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, this show is always started by being transparent. And yesterday, I gave a best bet winner for the show with the Valkyries +8. But my $5 Tuesday play was a loser with the Sparks and Aces over 172.5. Man, it never fails. Like for me, just me personally, when I bet a total and the market moves with me and it's just going, it loses. I don't know what it is about the totals in the market for me, but that was not good. Vino, I know you had Valkyrie's first half was a winner. Um, was the rest of your day just as good?
Well, the rest of my day wasn't just as good because I was involved in the Sparks and Aces game too. I like the Sparks team total over 86.5, and they really never got untracked in that game. Las Vegas got off to a really fast start. Sparks did not make a lot of shots. It was the return of Cameron Brink, who actually, for not playing in 400 plus days, looked pretty good. So things to come on the horizon for Los Angeles. I have to write it off. Maybe it's just one of those offensive performances, Skee, because they had been really, really good during this recent stretch, but last night not so good. So 1-1 split. We'll look to do better today.
Yeah, we gotta do a little bit better here, Jeffrey. Maybe I can't make any promises. I was gonna say I try to be a little bit more on time, but he says Ski gonna be late for his own wedding one day. If I get married, that's that's another story though. So first game up, we're gonna go 601, 602. Phoenix and Indiana opened up -2.5 for the Mercury. I see it as high as 4. Total open 162.5. It just continues to climb. 167.5. As far as who is available, nobody on the injury report for Phoenix. For Indiana, still without Caitlin Clark. Um, so both of these teams well rested. Both last played on the 27th, so 2 days rest for each. And the Fever off back-to-back wins. Meanwhile, well, the Mercury did bounce back with a win, but the Mercury before that had not been playing very good basketball. It felt like they were out of rhythm. Maybe in that second half of the game versus Washington, they found that rhythm because they did explode. But that's what I've been waiting for. Ever since Satu, Kalia, everybody's back healthy, it's just been kind of shaky or iffy for them. For the Fever, they've shown they can compete. They know how to play whether Caitlin Clark is in the lineup or not. They're, in my opinion, playing a little bit better than the Mercury right now. They're at home. My first inclination is Fever first half. I feel like the Mercury have been very slow out the gates, like first quarter, and Fever have been very strong, the first 20 minutes of games. So that's the way I lean in this one. How are you viewing it, Rob Veno?
Well, I would say first off that I come here with all these notes, and then you go ahead and steal like 60% of them. So I don't
Oh,
have much to tell you.
my
But
bad.
I agree with you. I agree with you on a lot of this stuff here. First up, let's just start with Phoenix and being back in rhythm, right? Because it's been since Satu and Claire Copper got back into the lineup. Their offense wasn't really in, as you said, a good rhythm, but they played a couple of really good offensive halves in that most recent game against Washington. 42 in the first half, 46 points in the second half, a little bit of consistency. That's a good sign for the offense, which, you go through a Phoenix box score after watching their game, and sometimes you don't realize they're running 9-10 players in and out of games. Their minutes don't really get to the point where you worry about fatigue with the Phoenix team. I know they're on rest here, but I'm just making a general point about how deep this team is and how many players they can run in and out. So that'll be good for them here tonight. The defense, though, Skee, I'm not so sure that the defense is quite there yet. Now, they only gave up 26 in the second half to Washington, which is an extremely low total. And Washington is subject to having those miserable halves. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. Then they went out and scored 103 last night. But since Sabali and Copper came back into the lineup, the team had played a total of 6 halves prior to the 26 that they gave up in the second half. How about these half totals? 51, 46, 46, 43, and 39 was the low. The defense hasn't been great for Phoenix right now. Sometimes it doesn't matter because they can outscore you. Their last dozen games, they've allowed 81 or more in 7 of those. What's interesting to note is that the other 5 games in that dozen, they only allowed an average of 74.2, which would lead the league in defense if that was a full season number. But you know what? Those 4 games, Satu and Copper weren't playing. It's crazy. You think when Satu comes back, they're a better defensive team, but they played great defense inside those 4 games. However, you dig a little deeper into that Skee and you find out those 4, 3 of them were against Minnesota and Golden State, 2 of the slowest tempos going. I remember watching a couple of those Phoenix games without Sabali and Copper. They started to slow down. They didn't play as fast because they were shorthanded. So there's reasons why they kept those games lower scoring, which leads me to believe that the defense is just mostly what it's been for the majority of the season. It's not a great defense. Indiana can score on them. You talked about how they've scored without Caitlin Clark. Without Caitlin Clark, how about this? The last 10 games, Indiana's averaging over 86 points a game. 6 of those 10 are without Clark. So it just doesn't matter at this point. They're used to it enough. I think both offenses are the best units on the floor here. It was a great number at the opener. I did release this game today at 166. It's now 167.5, but I do think this game's going to find its way up and over. I just think these 2 offenses are too high-powered not to find their way to 84 aside.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. I mentioned a couple, props. Ari, she didn't hit that 4.5 assists her last 2 games. Her minutes have been kind of iffy, but we know most of the games without Clayton Clark, she has been getting the 5+ assists. It's just a slight lean there. Kelsey Mitchell, when there's no Caitlin Clark, the Fever are not going to have a chance unless she's scoring. And she's been doing just that. She's had 20+, I want to say 7 of her last 8 games, something like that. So asking her to get 20 again tonight, that 19.5 number seems very, very doable. So I'll lean towards Kelsey Mitchell. I think that's what I'll feel most confident about in this game. All right, next up we have, it was supposed to be a good one, but it keeps getting more and more watered down by the minute, I guess. Lynx and Liberty opened up 8.5. We see, it's been moving the entire, the past 30 minutes, I feel like. But I see 7, I see 8, 7.5. So it just all depends where you shop for this one. The total, steady moving up. Open 161.5. We now see it as high as 167.5 at a shop. So a lot of people thinking we should see some points. There are some injury concerns here. A lot really none for Minnesota. But for the Liberty, Natasha Cloud is now questionable with an illness. They will be without Kennedy Burke, Nayara Sabali, and Stewie. And, of course, Emma Misamin is not ready to make her debut on the Liberty yet. So missing a lot for this New York team. And this is kind of throws a wrench in my thought process here, Veno, because, if they're potentially missing 2 starters here, like I said, it waters down the game quite a bit. This is supposed to be a spot where the Lynx have been waiting to give them a little bit of payback after they stole the WNBA finals from them. Seeing no Stewie, seeing no Cloud, we see this time and time again, Veno, where the team just overlooks them almost. And in a normal game, I would lean that way. I still think the Lynx should be focused and want to win this game. Do they want to win, or can they win by double digits? They can, but it makes me hesitant. And what else I don't like is the Liberty are off back-to-back losses. The Liberty had a players meeting after the last game, right, talking about their poor starts to games. That makes me think that no matter who's on the court for them, they're going to come out strong early in the game. So I had a whole write-up before the line even came out, wanting to take the Lynx. I saw the line at 8.5 after everything that I just explained with the Liberty, and I could not press the button. Have you been able to press the button in this game, Veno?
Well, I didn't because I couldn't understand the movement in the line, Ski. I couldn't understand why um, there was Liberty money under the assumption that Breonna Stewart wasn't going to play. What are you betting the Liberty for? And then recently, within the last couple hours, you get Natasha Cloud game time decision, and I still wonder what are you betting the Liberty for if you're not going to have either one of those two. When the Liberty last played, it was against Dallas, and I had made a case for Dallas team total over based on not Breonna Stewart's ability to score, but she means so much defensively to that team on the boards, rim protection. Natasha Cloud means just as much to the perimeter defense of that team. Ionescu's not a great perimeter defender. They really don't have a great perimeter defender outside of Cloud. So now you got the best interior defender, the best perimeter defender. Minnesota team total should be doable here, Ski. The New York defense has not been good as of late. They, like I say, they gave up 92 to Dallas the other night, and Dallas only scored 7 in the fourth quarter. So they gave up 85 in 3 quarters. I think it was 63 at halftime. Over the course of their last 10 games or so, I think they're giving up 80 plus. A lot of those are with Stewart. So now, like I say, minus her the other night, they didn't look good. Dallas is a team that crashes the boards. I get it. They get a lot of second chance points. I get it. Minnesota has that capability too. Although I will say that Elena Smith got hurt at the end of last game, an ankle, I think. But I think she came back on the floor. So their front line is intact. I don't know. To me, I may end up playing this. I may end up playing Minnesota over that team total of 87 just because I don't see New York as being a defensive threat in this game. I know Minnesota goes slow. We talk about how methodical they are all the time. But in that same sentence, you have to speak about how effective they are every possession. You can go slow, but if you're scoring and if you're shooting the way this team shoots, best 2-point shooting team in the league, second best 3-point shooting team in the league, then I don't worry too much about pace. So I may get to Minnesota team total here.
What's the number there? 87, you said?
87.
I mean, that does make sense to me. We know how good Minnesota's offense is. I mean, 2 of their last 3 games, they did have 90 plus. Minnesota so far this year off a loss. I mean, they've covered every game. They've gone over all 5 games. They scored 90 plus in all of those games off of a loss. Even if they start slow here, I do think that at some point they can pick it up. What you said about Breonna Stewart's defense, like, here's my first thought. In the game I was watching, or the recent games I was watching, it feels like when teams drag JJ out the paint, like having a big on the perimeter that can shoot her with the ball or whatever, there's nobody back there to help protect the rim. And I mean, but in the same, like when JJ was out, it was the same, right? It was just Stewie, but they were able to play defense. So I still almost have belief, like if they give better effort, they can play defense. But still, just seeing them give up that 92 to Dallas. Game before that, they gave up 90 or 102 to the Sparks, I think it was. I agree with you. I think Minnesota should be able to score, if anything, in this one. So either Minnesota or Minnesota team total over, I guess, are directions that I'm looking at in this game.
I think what makes it worse, Ski, real quick, as far as rim protection is concerned, is that you don't even have Sabali. I mean, your backup big isn't even there. So they've just lacked presence where rebounding and defense is concerned, in my mind.
And what I mentioned about bringing the big out, right? Minnesota's going to do that. They're going to have a bunch of shooters on the court. John Cole Jones is at some point going to have to come out the paint. And their team that swings the ball and moves the ball and screens, like it should be a lot of back cuts and easy buckets for them tonight. So that's how I see it. Let's see. ZB Miami thinks Liberty come out, throw the first punch, then the Lynx win the game. Definitely could happen. All right, one more game left here, Veno. Dream and Wings opened up -5 for Atlanta on the road. They are down as low as 3. Total open 165, and it looks like it's up as high as 167. Injury report here. I mean, we all know. I mean, the same two usual suspects for both teams here, right? Ryan Howard going to be out for a while for Atlanta. Maddie Segrist out for the Wings. This is the dream on the back to back. They lost to the Valkyries last night. They were making a comeback effort, just couldn't get it all the way done. And this is also a chance for them to get some double digit in season revenge, right? Last time they played this Wings team, it was probably their worst game of the season. They lost 55-68. They let the Wings defense hold them to 55 points. Um, so I think they do remember that game, and I think they really put in a good effort to bounce back in this game. The Wings are coming off a game where they played well. They won as an underdog, like we just talked about against the Liberty. But I think that was just more on the Liberty playing bad. Um, the Dream have been playing really good lately. They've been really naming their number offensively too. I have to think, especially you know them being where they are in the standings, they really want to come in and win this game. You're really just asking them to win at the current number. And I think they can. I don't necessarily care that the Wings have rest advantage. Uh, I would prefer to have my money on the better team. And I do think the Dream can name their number. So Dream team total or Dream are the ways I'm looking in this matchup. How do you feel about it?
Man, I love what you said at the end there, Skee, because I was going to say this line's been pushed down, and it's pushed down with Dallas money probably just based on the situation, right? As you laid out, back to back with travel, third and 4 days. But you could bet Dallas in this situational spot at your own risk with your own money because it's not, they're not a team that you want to just find a situation and play them. They had a great game last game, but we know how sporadic they are. We know how bad their defense is. So despite the fact that the schedule makers made it tough on Atlanta, and we could see for 1 second, I'll just pat ourselves on the back here because we saw that Golden State Atlanta game coming last night. First half on my side, full game on your side, both worked out. It was kind of just a textbook type effort out of Atlanta as a big favorite in that game. But before that game, back-to-back 90-point performances on the road. One was against the number one defense in the league, Minnesota. And just like we said about Indiana learning how to score without Caitlin Clark, I feel like Atlanta's learned how to score without Ryan Howard. Yeah. They're not the fastest up-and-down team in the league, but if you want to run with them, they will run. They're not adverse to running. So Dallas is going to push pace. They're the number 2 pace team over the last 10 games, number 3, I think, overall in the league, maybe number 2. But their defense has been abysmal the last 10. I mean, we could use a lot of groupings to say Dallas's defense is bad, but they're giving up 88 a game over their last 10. So Atlanta should find their way offensively. And one last thing I'll add to it is Dallas fouls like crazy. They're the worst free throw rate allowed in the league, and Atlanta gets to the line. I think they're 5th in the league in free throw rate. So should be good. You're going to get tempo. You're going to get Atlanta in a bounce back offensive situation. I think the step down in class between playing, between playing Golden State's defense, which was a little bit angry after the Connecticut game, and now playing Dallas's defense. That's a severe step down in class for Atlanta. All that being said, I always feel like Dallas can score, and Atlanta hasn't been the stingiest of defenses either. Another thing to add here is Dallas generally gets themselves into trouble with turnovers, but Atlanta, to my surprise, when I looked this morning, is the worst in the league at forcing turnovers. So maybe that doesn't come into play, and Dallas gets all their possessions. We know they crash the boards. We know they get a lot of chances at the rim. They'll probably get those tonight. I think this one gets over as well. If I were to single out a team, I would single out Atlanta's team total over the way you did. But I think the full game gets over here. It kind of took a jump up and then a little step back. I think the current number is somewhere in the 166 and a half range. I think it gets over.
All right, we're in agreement on this one. Mark, he says ATO on the road. He likes overs for that. So a lot of people seeing this one the same way here. ZB Miami thinks Page will get over 17.5 points. I never want to talk anybody off Page. One of my favorite players in the league. definitely can't talk you off of that. Um, yeah, we're pretty much in agreement. Michael B here says Dallas will get crushed off that upset at the Liberty. Great spot for Atlanta off a tough loss. We're all pretty much in agreement on these games. So I think we did a pretty good job. Took us a little longer today. It took us 20 minutes to get through the 3 games, but like I said, I think we did a solid job. So we'll move it over to best bets. I'm not going to throw any graphics up today, but I will ask you, Rob Veno, if there's anything you would like to promote. And if you have a best bet for the show, we'd love to hear it. If you do not, it is all good.
I will say real quick, Skee, I'm not sure on the expiration date on this, but there is a
It was
special
yesterday.
package.
Oh, my bad, my bad.
Well, there's a special on NFL preseason football, which actually begins tomorrow. I think it's $69 for the entire preseason. I do handicap preseason. So for those of you watching Skee's show or those of you who will watch it later, if you're interested in preseason, go ahead and hop over to wagertalk.com, pick up that all access preseason package. I think it's, like I said, I think it's just $69. I'm just not sure on the expiration date. Could be soon. So go over to wagertalk.com. Best bet. I think I've got a few to choose from tonight, Skee, because I played a little today. Saw the card, liked the card. I think for purposes of the show, I'll go. Let's go to what we just talked about, Atlanta and Dallas, because I really think Atlanta's going to find their way to 90 or more in this game. And Dallas will probably, they're never, point-wise, they're never out of it. They probably find their way to 80 as well. So I think full game total is definitely a good way to go in that one. So let's play it that way. Atlanta, Dallas, full game over. Just staring at the odds screen real quick for you guys. 166.5 looks like to be the best number you can get right now. So I'll use that. 166.5 full game over.
And I will I'll stay on that same game. Let's see if we can do a little something like yesterday. But I'll go team total for the Dream. 84.5, I think is very doable. I mean, Dallas defense allows a little bit over 86 per game on a season. Lately, it's been slightly better, but they still allow over 85 per game in those last 5 games. The defense just isn't good, to be nice about it, for Dallas. It hasn't been good for a long time, and it's still not good. The Dream, in their last 9 wins, they've been scoring. They've had 85 plus in all 9 of those games, and I think they're very capable of winning this game tonight. So, Dream, and also, I mean, I just looked this up actually. We've seen 3 road favorites. I forgot to mention it earlier. 3 unrested road favorites this season. They've all covered and won, and looks like 2 out of 3 hit the team total. So just because they're unrested doesn't mean they can't play good. They can't score. I like the Dream team total over 84.5 as my best bet for the show. Veno, another good day capping these games with you. I believe tomorrow we have only 1 game to talk about, so we'll come back and do it here again. Always appreciate you taking the time. For everybody in the comment section, we appreciate you guys. Much love to you guys. ZB Miami reminding everybody to hit the like button. That definitely helps us out. And yeah, you guys are just great people, great cappers, and help make the show what it is. So always want to let you know you're appreciated. Everybody out there on Twitch, Kick, X, YouTube Shorts, Spotify, Apple, you all are appreciated too. We'll be right back here again tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we will catch you then.